right, so welcome back. We are going to be talking drum industry news. Now, this is where we really get nerdy. Typically, Sean and I just completely out talk our guest because we're extreme about gear. But we'll see. We'll see what we chime in on. I know you're a Tama guy, right? Playing Star Classic.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have the same one for 20 plus years. I bought on the New Holland Ave location.
Right. Okay. Very
Nice.
cool. Very cool. I thought so. But we're going to be talking Pearl today, just because this was actually like an interrupt that I actually have like a little note that I put over what we were going to talk about because Sean's like, well, all that stuff just came out. We should probably talk about it. So Pearl just...
I don't talk like that.
He does sound like that. I don't talk like that. He says as he's talking.
Okay.
Exactly. Thank you. Pearl just came out with their new high-end Reimagined stuff, which is basically like their push to like revamp stuff. Every drum company does this every year. They revamp stuff, tweak stuff every couple years. Yeah, you're right. It's not every single year, but every couple years. That Pearl High-End Reimagined is just their name for it this year. Their revamp of their gear and switching things around. But the big thing that they came out with in this High-End Reimagined is the R2 air suspension system, which, Sean, I stuck one over there if you want to show it to people that are watching. People on the podcast, this is just great listening. Everyone
use your imagination.
Imagine, if you will, and I'll describe it. This new suspension system, you're familiar with Pearl, you know the Opti-Lock mounts, you know the Opti mounts, right? Essentially an Opti mount is a where the 7/8 inch mount from your tom holder attaches, and then it attaches to 4 lugs or these little arms that go out. And the grommets,
like
your tension rods
here.
Yeah, there you go. Your tension rods go right down through it, and that just holds it into place. It's got rubber grommets, so nothing. There's no metal on metal action there. This new suspension system takes it a step further. So essentially, all of your rack toms are going to be surrounded with this new system, this new nice looking chrome system, the whole way around, as far as halfway around, I should say. So the arms extend to like a secondary lug on either side, which surrounds your drum. Basically, these guys are larger OptiMount. This is my very simplification. I apologize, Pearl. But picture, if you will, a larger OptiMount that extends further around your drum so that you get your weight distribution's a little bit better. You get better resonance out of your drums. They also include a whole bunch of these little rubber grommets, which I'm very excited to sell replacements of because we do a lot of replacement parts here because they're almost guaranteed to get lost because you kind of like shove them in there and stack them underneath just to give yourself a little bit more of that cushion. They just put out a whole bunch of great YouTube videos that go through the details of everything. But you'll see this new R2 air suspension system on the new Masters stuff and the new Reference 1. So at the moment, Reference and Reference Pure are no longer. There's just Reference 1. There's just one Reference. It's a good name.
That is, yeah.
It's a good name.
Reference 1. Make it easy.
Yeah. So that was all to bring up the craziest thing that Pearl has done. It's something they said they'd never do before. They came out with an L-arm version of this mount as well, which every other company
said they would never do.
Right. So there's different mounts, obviously, but no longer the 7/8 inch Pearl big tom arms you're used to with the 2 adjustments or the Opti or the gyro lock adjustment. It's now like an L-arm, like other brands have their own L-arm. Sean, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because they said they never do it. That was Pearl's thing to not do that.
Yeah, that's always been their thing. Where I don't think that they were the originators of the L-arm, but they certainly are the most well-known company that has that L-arm. And while all of the other drum companies, you name it, PDP, DW, Tama, Ludwig, they've all gone to the Omniball style system with the L-arm, whether it's like a Mapex, a Hex, or they have the different sizes, 9.5, 10.5. 12.5, whatever else. But everyone seems to use that L-arm.
Yeah, but Pearl's always stuck with their
They've always
tubes.
stuck with theirs, yeah. So now I don't know how it's going to work for them. It looks rather cool. It's a little different than the rest of the companies out there that make an L-arm. It still kind of looks like a Pearl, 7/8, pole. Of course, it's still designed to fit into the bass drum or what have you, but on the end it has that L-arm sticking up. So we'll see how things go with it. I think it's kind of cool because now you can kind of retrofit some things, and it'll make life a lot easier for drummers, I think.
Total. I mean, if you're going from like, and I know you just mentioned like 100 other companies that use the L arm, but like for somebody who's a Tama dude like myself, who's just that's what I've always played. Like, you can't just go try out a Pearl drum set or whatever
Right.
because
Yeah.
you're like, oh man, now I have to get all new hardware.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and it's an interesting. I think it's an interesting move by Pearl to try that, to mix it up.
Yep.
I hope it works out, and then they can now have more products and more people like coming over their way and trying stuff out. But we got a whole bunch of the R2 mounts. We were like one of the first people to have them. We're already selling them actually. We only have 3 left. We're gonna be getting more. Don't worry, if you're interested. But we got the 7/8 ones. This normal tube ones as far as the R2 mounts, because in my mind, a lot of people that are digging this technology but already have a Pearl kit might not want to make the jump and get new mounts as well.
Right.
As far as coming out of their bass drum or anything like that.
I see folks wanting to do that here.
Upgrade,
shortly. Yeah.
upgrading what they have rather than like buying a
Yeah.
whole new set with a whole new system.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, I need a 10 and a 12 and I want it to work with what I have already.
Right.
That was
That's
our
the
thought
easy
process
fix, yeah.
by like dabbling into this, starting with it. But yeah, I think we've every drummer that's gigged ever has played on a house kit that is something different than what they have. So we all have experience with a lot of different gear. I prefer like a ball arm kind of adjustment. How Pearl's doing it is actually their like gyro lock thing,
Right.
which they did with some of their 7/8 inch tube arms, where you literally have one drum key adjustment and then you can move it anywhere. How Tama and other brands, that most other brands do like a clam style where they're like clamping down on a ball and that holds it into place, which is fine. It's totally cool. There are cheaper mounts that there's literally like a wing bolt that screws right into the top of the ball,
Yeah.
and that's where you start to see like slippage and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
they tend to strip.
But Tama's really good about doing clam style where you're like surrounding
Right.
it and
Yeah,
clamping down on it.
they even put those on some of their like inexpensive models as well.
Yeah.
Clam style instead
Yeah.
of just the wing screw pressing in on that ball, which tends to strip over time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a gigging drummer, that's going to fail.
Especially if you're sharing a kit, everyone comes up, adjusts it. There's like 5 more, little gashes in it.
Everybody over tightens the darn things too.
Yeah.
Always.
Don't over tighten.
Chill out with that.
Yeah,
Yes.
snug.
Exactly. I actually, and also, if you're playing vintage gear, you don't know where the gear has been, be careful when you're tightening stuff, because I literally have a scar on my hand right here. That's from working at a drum shop, people. It's a tough job. It's not everyone's cut out. It's a tough job. No, but literally we got this kit, and it was actually an old electronic kit and it just had like the cheapest of cheap hardware with it, to adjust like the cymbal arms and stuff. And I was just adjusting it, getting everything kind of looking good, because anytime you move an electronic kit, if anyone's ever done that, the whole thing, no matter how much you try to keep it the same, it's like you get it set up, it's like this, it's like slightly leaning, or like this
Right.
is a little tilted. So you always have to kind of zhuzh it to look good. But I was doing that, and I was just simply tightening something, but I could tell these have been tightened so much, so I was like loosening and tightening these bolts that have just been clamped down on. And literally, I have a picture. I'll try to find the picture and post it at some point on our socials. But it's literally like both sides of the wing screw snapped off and just sliced my thumb open.
Yeah, that's all it
Horrible.
takes.
That's
no,
it.
No drums for you for like 2 weeks after that.
I know. I was literally like, I had like a thing around my thumb. I was like, it's kind of brutal. But anyway, don't over tighten. But Pearl, whole bunch of new stuff coming out. I want to do videos shortly. Sean and I, we're going to discuss this. This is something that I've had in the works. Going through every year that people mess it up, switch it up as far as like the drum lines that are available and like where they are and like this is comparable to this, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We should go through and do that and be like, okay, updated 2023 Pearl. Here's what your options are now. If you have this from the past, this is kind of like this, but with these shells.
Sure.
And do like a comparison to that.
Yeah,
Because
that'd be fun.
every time it gets mixed up, people are like, what's
Yeah.
this? What's new? And it's like, oh, they stopped doing that. They're starting to do this just to mix it up.
And that's happened so many times over the past X amount of years that sometimes it becomes a little bit of a blur. We're just talking about it like, was that 10 years ago? No, it wasn't 10 years ago.
Oh
I'm like,
my
yeah, it
gosh,
was.
I know.
It was 10 years ago.
Yep.
And there was a time where they did away with the exports. Pearl did. Remember that? They stopped doing the exports.
Wild. The number one selling drum.
I know.
They mixed it up. They're like, this is going to replace it. And they're like, no, people know that name.
Yep.
And they just update it.
Right.
I was talking yesterday with someone, or 2 days ago, about Vision kit. We're talking Vision. Mm-hmm. It's like the slightly upgraded export, but with birch shells. That was a
Right.
vision. You know what I mean? But like that description is hard to find. You know what I mean? You go on like a
Yes.
drum forum, forget it. Like it's gonna
Yeah.
be all these people saying the Vision's the best kit, and they're like, those things
No
suck.
way.
I had this one. I played it once at a gig, but here's my 4 paragraphs of expertise on it. You know, that kind of thing.
I don't read the dirt sheets.
Yeah. Sometimes I get in the trenches. I don't usually participate, but sometimes I'm like, if someone Googled it, like the guy that just called me has this opinion, where'd he find that? Like, let me just Google what he asked me and see what comes up. And it's like, wow, we
it
gave
is.
him a straight answer to an answer that was,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, but of course that's our opinion as well, but it's also based on, you know, years of experience and stuff like that. So there is a little bit to that, but play what makes you happy, people. There's no best, just different. All right, let's move ahead into our Hall